join as we're going.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
that's good. So yeah, let's just like brief introduction. Thanks everyone for being here too. And today we are gonna just hear about a super great company called Alo Solutions. They're based in Canada. So today we have Sarah and Devin that are just gonna go over first of all their business and also tell us about the investment opportunity. So they're currently raising some funds on Equivesto. Probably you have heard about Equivesto in the past as well. So from previous meetings, I'm also gonna like tell a few words after all of the presentation. So yeah, thanks Sarah and Devin for being with us today.
Thank you. We're really excited to present Alo to everyone today. I'm gonna share my screen and hop into this. Okay, I just want to make sure everyone can see the deck.
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So, a little back story. It took me about 4 years to come to the conclusion that I was ready to be a foster parent. Um, I had done so much research and I just got to the point, it took me a long time to get there, that I was ready. And when I had decided that I was going to be calling into our local SAAS agency to put my application in, the first time I didn't get a call back. The second time I got stood up. And the third time I had to remind the social worker 5 minutes in that we had a appointment. So the our disclaimer, I'm just going to say that about everything on here is predictive and will change and evolve as we do. But getting back to what I was saying, the process to become a caregiver is very dated and ineffective. And I felt a complete lack of control, not being able to get anybody on the phone, as well as not understanding why the way things were the way that they were, considering we're hearing how important it is that we find more social workers, we find more foster parents and adoptive parents for children in the system. When I had talked to the social worker, I was made aware that she felt a huge lack of control as well, with an overwhelming caseload, not tools that were helpful to her, as well as the pressures that came with her position. So there is definitely a lack of control for both the applicant and the child welfare professional within this industry, as well as the mistrust amongst Indigenous and African Canadian communities is insane and it's warranted. Um, we all know that there's issues within Canada that have contributed to the overrepresentation of Black and Indigenous children in the system. And these are two groups that I myself belong to. So this was extremely impactful for myself. 52.2% of the children in care right now are Indigenous, despite being 7.7% of the population in Canada. We don't even have statistical information about Canada-wide, how many Black children are in the system in Canada. We do know that 41% of the children in care in Toronto are African Canadian, or a Black biracial, but they only make up 8% of the population. So it's obviously these two communities mistrust the system, and rightfully so. And that's where we come in. So Alo is a modern, user-friendly, cloud-based system that automates the application process. We are a customizable solution designed by an African Canadian and Indigenous company. We provide real-time updates and access to applicant status and personal information at all times. And we recruit more caregivers with a special focus on the overrepresented communities that I had just mentioned. When we're looking at the competition, I was very surprised to find out that Excel is still a huge contributor to the tech that's being used. This is a manual software. It is not designed for, I mean, everybody's used Excel, but we know how easy it is to mess up a formula and everything be lost, or the time that it would take to fix this. So I was very surprised in such um, a very invasive industry that they were still using this. And then when we're looking at a comparable, um, someone comparable to us, it would be ShareVision. However, ShareVision is not created for child welfare. ShareVision is created for nonprofits, and then it's been made up to work that way. It's also extremely expensive. Not only are there upfront costs for ShareVision, but then there are also monthly costs and costs per module that are added on, as well as the amount of data that's used and the amount of storage that's used is also an additional cost. And then when we look at CPIN, which is the IPM Currem system that the government has designed, this is more of a database, and this is not exactly a solution or a tool for social workers or anything that addresses the overrepresentation or the systemic issues that are happening within the system. And we are able to integrate. There we go. We are able to integrate with CPIN. However, our system makes CPIN better by using that data to organize things better and help make better decisions. So we are the more affordable, the more customizable SaaS solution. We are first to market when it comes to something that is automating the application process. We do provide that seamless integration, and we're extremely easy to use. I had my parents, who are both in their 60s and not big fans of the computer, go through an application process from start to finish, and they were able to do this on their own. So we knew that it would be something that would span generations. Taking a deeper dive into the solution, we are secure, yet there is easy access because we are a cloud-based application, so you're able to access your information from anywhere. The application portal will store in-depth information and documentation, and we allow the applicant to be able to upload their own information into the system, giving them more control over their information, but also taking the burden of getting that information from the applicant for the social worker. Now, we understand that there's also times when the social worker will need to be more involved in that application process, and the software is customizable enough that they will be able to do that on their end as well. Alo provides race-based analytics on the applicant pool so that the social workers can make better caregiver matches and to keep more children close to their communities. A huge part of me wanting to become a caregiver was also wanting to help children within my own community, and have them close to their culture and close to what they know. It's been statistically shown that children that are able to retain their culture and their sense of self, their identity, they do much better in the long term. Our applicant dashboard keeps everyone up to date. As I mentioned, everyone can see, both the social worker and the applicant can see all of their information in one central place. We are able to give status updates and next steps, as well as feedback through that portal. That was a huge thing for me when I was doing my application, was that I didn't know where I was in the process, because there was such a disconnect with communication, I never knew if my application was still in play, what information I needed to provide for next steps. All of these moving parts in a very necessarily invasive space. So this gives everyone a clear picture of where they are, what they need to do next, and how they can expedite this process to get more kids into homes. Our business model. So we've had really positive feedback, and we're very excited about this. We are looking at many different industries within the industry. I know that sounds kind of weird, but there are anywhere from one practitioner, a small independent practitioner, to large government entities. So that could be from one user to 1,500 users in one agency. And Alo is able to accommodate both. So we do have a three-tiered approach to our software based on a minimum 12-month contract. And the users are the social workers, the applicants. This is free, completely free to the applicant. And it's nice to say that our cost of acquisition is about $39.72 per user. So it's just 4% of the annual revenue. Our go-to-market plan. So we are putting the word out there, letting people know that we're here through digital marketing, including podcasts, influencer endorsements, professional networks, and word of mouth. We're going to be doing some media later on this week as well, on a TV show, as well as we have done podcasts and so forth, getting everyone educated on the state of child welfare, but also how we plan to use our tool to address it. Traditional marketing, our target markets, target marketing, including cold calling, getting in front of those decision makers and really letting them know how they would be able to utilize the system. And our partnerships. We want to be able to work with the Black and Indigenous community to better the system, to get their feedback on how things would best run and how we would be able to address the things that they're seeing every day through innovation. The market size and opportunity. So this blew my mind when I found out that the government spends $9.2 billion, the government of Canada, every year on child welfare in this country. $1.4 billion has been allocated to, over the next 6 years, to support Indigenous nations creating and governing their own child welfare. Bill C-92 was passed this past January, and that gives Indigenous nations the inherent right to govern their own child welfare. We're seeing this is starting to happen. There was a First Nations in Saskatchewan who has been allocated $32 million over the next 2 years to revamp. And there's 38 agencies representing 100 nations that are in line for similar outcomes. So we believe that our total addressable market is 5% of that, and that would translate into $530 million. Our financials. So the breakdown is it's not a lot of users. It's very reachable. 425 users will help us to break even. We will break even at that point. We are targeting 1,300 users for the first year, which would translate into $1 million in revenue, and that's over the first 12 months after the case management module has been completed. When we get to year 5, we are projecting 14,000 users, and that revenue would be just over 16 million. So our MVP, and I use that word very loosely because it is no longer an MVP, it is a completed product that is feature rich and ready to go. That was completed January of 2021 and is consistently getting better. Our second version of it was completed in June, and our third version has been completed in October. We are raising to develop our case management module, which will be using AI to. So we're going to be using AI to track bias within apprehension rates. A huge part of the issue that's happening in Canada is that Black children and Indigenous children, though the calls to SAAS are almost equal to white children, the apprehension rates for Black and Indigenous children is something like, I think it is 7 times for Black children, and I think it's 11 times for Indigenous children. And we want to know why. We want to be able to track that and see where the issue is. And those apprehension reports, when we have spoke to social workers, they were basically the catalyst to understand what's happening here. As well as that will be completed in May of 2022, as well as our birth parent portal, which will allow parents that have lost their children to be able to compile all evidence independent of the agency, so that they're not going to the agency for information on a case that could potentially work against them. We had a great research campaign in March of 2021 that resulted in 60% lead to opportunity conversion rate. We have been featured on the Indigenous Professionals Association of Canada, recognizing excellence recipient. Our COO, Devin, was accepted into the Hollywood Sweet Whiff program, which is a writing program centered around Alo and what we're doing, as well as we won pitch battles in September of 2021. We received verbal LOIs from multiple agencies, and in January, we will have our initial rollouts from 2 private companies. And so meeting the team, myself, I have worked in the IT sector for more than 10 years, focused on digital transformation and helping businesses transition into the cloud. I've also worked with large technology companies to create go-to-market strategies specifically for the Canadian market. And as I mentioned, this Alo came about while I was putting my application in to be a foster parent, and then later an adoptive parent. And Devin Edwards has also worked in IT for more than 10 years, alongside multiple teams and often lending assistance to the highest levels. This has helped him understand business and technical needs of companies of all sizes in his career. Devin now lends his experience to us at Alo as part of the leadership team as the COO and technical director. Devin is also mixed race Indigenous person, and he is certified in non-violent conflict resolution, DEI, and anti-oppression training. And now we're going into our board, which is a mix of amazing people. Art Proctor, who is a Afro-Métis man, an activist, a technologist, and also a builder of communities. Art is really been in our corner and has a huge influence over the Afro-Indigenous community. Fiona Moore is an educator with a passion for advocacy. She's also a TikTok influencer who has over 50,000 subscribers, and she speaks very candidly on issues within child welfare and just the Indigenous experience. Melissa Allen, who is an award-winning woman who is in wealth management. And Melissa has some really amazing things coming down the pipeline. She was also part of a Black-owned VC company that I believe she has moved on since, but has big things in the pipeline. Amar is our works with works with Oxfam Canada, and she's more looking into gender economics, and has lots of experience in intergovernmental and governmental processes. And so she's helping us look at the processes and how we work with the government. And then Lindsay Eberts, who is a British Canadian film producer based in Quebec, and her films are very hard hitting. She had just finished a film called For Love, which shows the correlation between residential schools and child welfare now. Now our offering. So we're offering up 7.5% of our business. The cost per share is 7 cents. The current pre-money valuation of our company is $3.4 million. We are looking to raise a minimum of $25,000 and a maximum of $250,000, and the minimum investment amount on Equivesto is $100. The use of the proceeds are very simple. It's case management module and the development of the case management module, equipment, and then hiring. We want to hire a couple of people for sales and securities, and that's where the money will be going. And then our reasons to invest: the fact that we do only need 425 licenses to break even, and that we do predict the 1,300 licenses for the first year of sales, forecasting into $1 million. The need, the agency and the agencies, government, communities, they're all aligned. We're hearing so much in the news about what's happening with the Indigenous community and with the Black community. Everybody is. We've seen that there's now where child welfare is being called a humanitarian crisis. There is a huge need for change, and it's about time that this information has been made public and people are starting to understand the gravity of what's actually happening. We are user driven, we are affordable, we're easy to use, and this has been built with community research. And every feature that we have, everything that we've put into this has been making sure that social workers with the advice of social workers, those who have been foster parents or have been in the system, really understanding what they need, and then and being able to create features based on that. The experience of our team: we have been in this space for over 10 years. Strong intent to purchase: we do have agencies that are really excited about what we're doing and the scalability. This is not something that could just be tailored to Canada, but this could be tailored to global markets. So next steps is going on Equivesto. We have a video there as well, but I'm sure Bryce will go into all the details about that. And we would love to hear from you. If you have any more questions, please feel free to give us a call or send us an email, and we'd love to talk to you more about what we're doing and how you can be a part of it.
All right, thank you, Sarah. If you have any questions, please, you can raise your hand. You can also write them in the chat. I just have a first question for you, Sarah. So, maybe I missed that part, but I want to know how much is a license on the platform?
So there's three kind of flavors to the licenses, depending on how many users. So if it's an independent practitioner, it's going to be $99 for someone who
Per
is
per month?
per month, per user, and that is a 12-month contract.
Mm-hmm.
And then for someone who is maybe in an SMB kind of mid range, it would be $79, and that would be up to 50
Mm-hmm.
clients from 10 to 50. And then from 50 above would be government pricing, and that would be at $69 with a little wiggle room for the government.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, because you said that basically you need 425 licenses, right, to break even.
Mhm.
So does that mean like individual license or for people working for themselves or
That would be at the $79 mark. So we wanted to give
$79?
kind of a medium of where that would be. So that would be the $79 mark.
Okay, okay, perfect.
It would bring
So
us to
the
just over. It would bring us to just over 30,000 in revenue a month.
Yeah.
okay, okay, makes sense. What are your costs right now? Is it only maintaining the platform?
Maintaining the platform is basically all of our costs right now. We are keeping costs as low as possible, and we are bootstrapping, and we have been.
Hmm.
So just maintaining that, and we're going to put a little bit of money into um, uh, hiring for sales and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Short list basically is development, operations. We do third party security audits, and whatever business development and marketing costs would be.
Hmm.
I think that's really everything.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I just saw something. You don't have do you have a dev team?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that in the slides. Okay.
We don't list every one of our employees, just our leadership team.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I was just wondering if there was some money that was going into development. So if it was
Yeah.
going to development in your team or an offshore team.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. There is one question about the valuation. I want to know, you said it's about, yeah, how did you make that valuation? So it's 3.4 millions, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so the valuation was based on a couple of things. The idea, the fact that we are first to market and that there is not a solution like this in Canada yet.
Mm-hmm.
The prototype, the fact that it's not a prototype anymore, it's actually the software is ready to go and ready to be used. Um, the quality of the management team, the fact that myself and Devin have actually worked together at two previous companies. So the fact that we're able to work together the way that we have, and the expertise that we have coming in with the Canadian market, that was part of it. The relationships that we have built um, within child welfare, as well as with people who are supporting this initiative, and then the product rollout. The fact that we do have companies that are interested in us, the response that we're getting, the conversion from opportunity to from cold call to opportunity, and the letters of intent that we do have.
All of our technical processes and business processes, all of it's documented and built out.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So basically you used to work together for the last 10 years previously, or?
I think maybe about 7 of those 10 years.
7
We
of
Oh,
worked.
those 10,
wow.
I think, pretty close. Yeah. At 2 different
Oh, wow.
companies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So
that's good.
we really have a down to a science on the way that we work together. And
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
when I was coming up with the idea and for this, Devin was the only person that I would have thought to work with, just because I know where I'm weak, he's strong, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've always been able
Okay.
to work really
Mhm.
successfully together.
I do the tech
Okay.
stuff, and she's the relationship management person.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay, that's good. Just for investors, basically, let's say if we go on Equivesto, we put some money, maybe $100 or more.
Mhm.
When can we expect to have a return on our investment?
In all honesty, this is not going to be for the short term. We are
Hmm.
looking for an investment for 5 to 7 years.
Hmm.
5 years, we believe that you'll get a nice return on your investment, but it's not going to be overnight. So we
Could,
want everybody to have realistic expectations as to where their money will be and for how long.
it could be as
Hmm.
short as 3, but 5 to 7 is probably more realistic.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, I see. Okay, that's good. Thanks for answering my questions. Just want to know maybe if other people, if you have questions too, you can either write them in the chat, turn on your microphone, raise your hand.
I
Okay.
could potentially preempt a question that might be coming,
Hmm. Yeah.
which is one of the things we get asked a lot is what's the plan for investors to get their money back? How do
Hmm.
you? Oh, here we've got an actual question. I can go to that
Hmm.
if you want.
Yeah. So yeah, there is one question from Maxine asking. You may have mentioned it earlier, but what is the minimum and maximum investment?
So the minimum investment on Equivesto is 25,000, and the maximum is it's 250,000.
Minimum investment's $100.
Oh,
$100.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Minimum raise is 25,000.
Sorry.
Yeah.
See, doesn't he finish my sentences? It's perfect.
Yeah. $100.
Yes.
Mhm.
And yeah, Devin, you are going to.
I think the maximum is dependent on what type of investor you are. I think for retail, which is most public people, it's $5,000 in a single campaign. And then if you're an accredited investor or um, what's eligible investor, there's different levels. And that we don't really determine that. That's something Equivesto determines.
Mhm.
But as I was mentioning, the path to making your money back is usually the simple ones. If there's an IPO that goes through, if the company is acquired, which there currently isn't any plan for the company to be acquired, just to be forthcoming with that, or a stock buyback, which is probably the way that I would prefer to do it, but we'll see what the future holds.
Mhm.
And obviously, there's the growth through our company. We just the profitability is really quite high.
Mhm. Okay,
Potential. Yeah.
makes sense. I know that you also wanted to add something, Devin, before.
I went back to it. That's what I meant.
I
Oh,
want
okay,
That,
to
perfect.
ask something.
yeah.
This is Andrea,
Yeah, sure.
if you don't mind.
Mhm.
I just came on, so I don't know really what your business is about, but where would one find more information about your services and what is the return on $100 given? What is the, okay, thank you. Somebody posted that. Thank you,
Nailed it.
Bryce.
Yeah.
What's the return like?
The return is lucrative. We're looking at something it's about 9x return on the investment based on
Projected.
that projection based on the projections that we have, and that's based on real numbers that are uh, with LOIs and so forth that
Yeah.
we have coming to us.
Mhm. Okay, hopefully that answered the question. There is one question asking for if you have a beta group. I'm not sure if maybe Maxine, if you can turn on your microphone, actually. I'm not sure about the
Yeah,
beta group.
so yeah, I figured it was kind of brief. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I was asking, I came in probably about 20 minutes late into the presentation myself. You may have already mentioned it. I was just wondering, you mentioned, Sarah, that the product is already built and so forth, but wanted to know, do you have currently like a test group, or is the product being betaed by particular, I don't know, companies? Is any of that happening? And if it is, how can one become part of it? And what are the requirements to become a part of that group, test group?
I guess that would be our development partner program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are working on a development partner program. We do have a couple of agencies that are interested in being part of that, and they'll be our first rollout. So they'll be working with us come January to do this. We've already done quite a bit of testing independently with our development team, but just to work out all the kinks and get them up and running and get their information, the information back. They are still going to be paying customers. They're going to be at a lower rate, but we do have them ready to go.
And some extra perks like free training, free support.
Yeah.
If someone's going to be part of our development partner program and doing beta, we don't want to charge them for support.
No.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And the answer to how to get involved is just let us know. Go to our website, send us a contact, send us an email, give us a call.
Yeah.
I do have another question.
Yeah.
It's around the tech, because I'm really excited to see that there is something like this currently going into the works for our community. I wanted to know also about in terms of your release, right? So once you have your beta, you're going to beta the product, your prototype for a period of time, and then you're going to be having releases with regards to the feedback you get from the users. Like, how often do you guys have a schedule for like how that would be released, and will you provide updates to the investment group?
Absolutely. So we do have a rollout schedule. Actually, I should let Devin talk about this first.
This is my area.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a techie, Dev.
Okay, so we have a continuous implementation and continuous deployment method. So we don't really do the agile 2-week sprints. As soon as code is finished and we have internal QA and we have third-party audits of that code as well, and as soon as kind of funding becomes available, we also have a contract QA company that will do some of our further testing for us, which will kind of act sort of like a professional client to represent what the interests of the clients would be. So not everything is on the beta group. Certainly we'll want people who are technologically savvy to be looking at something and actually going and deliberately trying to break elements that could be, and going in and creating 1,000 people at once and see what happens. Just the kind of stuff that doesn't really happen but might. So we want to make sure that as soon as all of that gets finished for any particular tiny little piece of code, even if it's just one little line of code, that can get pushed out as soon as possible. Yes, updates will go out to investor groups. And also, of course, to the users. People create third-party integrations with software, and we want to make sure that if they do that, that a release that we build out doesn't break any of those integrations. When you have a web company, they build their websites around it. I mentioned that I've been in technology for 10 years. The majority of that 10 years was spent as a technical writer and as a documentation manager. So API documentation, release guides, all of that stuff is always been my area, and we're going to continue those things, and we're going to release them directly with the updates.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Hope, is there any other question? Anyone? All right, so basically I'm just gonna share my screen really quick. I know that we're over time. So I just want to show, basically, I share the link for Equivesto. So if you're interested in investing into Alo, you can just go into on that link. And if you don't have an account already on Equivesto, you can just sign up, create an account. You just have to follow the steps. You might have to provide some ID info and all of that. So once you're there, you can see pretty much everything that we also just discussed today. So everything, the solution, and also that's super great. There is also the links if you want to contact either Devin or Sarah directly, or probably, I'm not sure if you're going to reach them directly, but at least if you want to reach out to Alo to ask any questions, it would be, everything should be on there. So I'm just going to share the link again, just make sure if someone joined just after. If you have any other questions or something, you can just ask them in the Telegram chat. I can maybe answer them or just like redirect you to the right people. So thanks again, Sarah. Thanks, Devin, for being with us tonight. If you want to say a last word.
Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everyone and let them know what we're doing. We really believe in what we're doing. We believe we're going to change the lives of a lot of children. So we would love for everyone to be a part of it.
Mm. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
See ya. Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Night.